You guys stuck around. It's late.
You addressed the Jalen Carter situation, talk to him.
Yeah, obviously we had some personal fouls today. I want these guys to play with great energy, great tenacity, while doing it within the rules of the game. So we'll address that. And we talked about that obviously at halftime because I felt like, that's a really good offense. And every one of their drives in that first half that resulted in points were all penalties, And now, a PI, which that's different. That's in the heat of the game. Those are going to happen. But I know we had one with Nolan and one with JC, and that creates short fields for an offense. Again, we want to be there. We want to have great, like I said, energy, tenacity, all those different things. But we got to do it within the rules of the game. And we'll address that. We'll go through that. But we got to get better in that scenario because we need that guy on the field. He's a really good player.
Specifically is your response to Jalen's behavior on that?
Yeah, I'm going to keep all our conversations and all my disciplinary things in-house, but we got to do it. We got to fix it as coaches.
Is this something where you might take disciplinary action against Jalen?
Again, I will keep everything in-house, and we will. You won't ever get that from me. We will. Everything will always be handled in-house, just like private conversations that I have with players. None of that will ever be out to you guys. I'm sorry.
So what do you think you can do to keep Jalen from doing this? I mean, he's had a history of he's gotten 2 fights last year. He seems to have a habit, and he doesn't seem to be able to control himself when provoked. Is there anything you can do to stop him?
Yeah, like I said, everything that we do is going to be held in-house. Again, he knows, and we needed him out there today, and he wasn't out there against a really good offense. I was really proud of the way the guys stepped up and played, to give up 20 points against a really good team, a really good offense. I think, again, they got good offensive line. Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback, 2 really good wide receivers, a really good tight end, 2 running backs that can make plays with the football. I thought BY came in and had that strip, which was huge. Again, goes back to when we win the turnover battle, good things happen for us as a team. And we talked about that at halftime, and then the other halftime that we had that, because I know Coach Eberflus does a really good job of preaching, coming after the football, and I thought they had some good strip attempts, and our guys did a good job of carrying it. And, we got the one out, which was all the difference in the game, in my opinion. And, I thought Jordan got some good pressures. Morrow, I'll have to watch the tape there, but I know he played stout in there. Gabe Hall came in and gave us some good reps, but we need Jalen Carter on the field. And like I said, we'll keep everything in-house, but we have to get all these things corrected as a whole. As you guys know, I want them – you see how I coach with emotion, and I want them to play with emotion. And that's what I kind of say all the time is, but you have to do it within the rules of the game because we need everybody out there to help us be successful.
How do you think Kevin handled his first game as offensive coordinator?
Man, I mean, the first half, right? I think what you saw – first half, 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. So obviously a really good start. Can't start much better than that. I thought he called it really well. Again, the communication. Kevin and I have been together long enough, and through all these things where the communication was great. We did what I wanted us to do in certain situations, in game management situations as far as run, pass, or set up or whatever that is. Kevin's calling it, but obviously we talked through a lot of those things, and we were on the same page there, and I thought he did a good job. I think both offenses struggled a little bit coming off the long break, and the defenses kind of stepped up, and on both sides of the football, there wasn't any scoring after I think it was 4:44 left on the clock when the clock stopped. So, we'll go back and look at that, but, I think Kevin did a really nice job of, calling the game the way the game needed to be called today. But again, you have to go back and look at the tape and reevaluate everything. But I got a lot of confidence in Kevin and the job that he does.
It is an instant that A.J. Brown goes that deep into a game without a target. What were some things they were doing where you guys kind of maybe struggled to get him the ball?
Yeah, that's a good defense and a defensive coordinator. Matt Eberflus been a longtime defensive coordinator. Has a lot of experience calling defenses. They did a good job of matching some of our routes. They did a good job of matching some things and taking away AJ. We had some different things to him that Jalen had to get through some progressions, and I think Jalen did a really nice job getting through his progressions tonight, and then made some plays with his legs as well. But credit to them. Those are two really good corners over there, and then another first-round pick who's still developing as a player. I just think that they did a good job on defense doing that, and when we needed it, we needed to. So many times here, we've won the game because of our 4-minute offense, and different ways to play that. Being aggressive, I thought we were aggressive, and AJ got a ball that set us up for a 3rd and 3 that helped us win the football game. So, when we talk about roles, I tell those guys there's going to be games like this. This is gonna happen. But to be what we want to be, AJ's obviously going to have to be involved more in the offense. But some games go this way, and I get that will be a story and everything like that. But there are games that go this way. You look at Smitty in 2022 against Detroit. AJ has 8 for 155 yards, and then Smitty has 0. And then the next game he has 8 for 175 yards and a touchdown. So that's the way it goes. We just I know that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert are selfless, very selfless, and they want to do everything they can do to win, for the team to win. And they know things go like this sometimes, but they also know that they have to be involved to help the team win. So you love that about them. I think some of the proper questions is, that no one's asked me is, man, how about Jahan Dotson coming and making some huge plays today? A huge 3rd down catch that equaled points on a 3rd and really long, a 51-yard gain, another one on a scramble. I get it. You want to ask a lot of the negatives, but man, there was some positives too. And Jahan, that is such a huge ability to have when you have the other guys that they're keying on, and then Jahan comes in and makes the plays that he does. Again, I know the story will be AJ only got 1 target until the 4th quarter, but how about Jahan Dotson? He played a heck of a game.
Jalen performed in spite of the fact that AJ was not.
Yeah, if you guys can tell me exactly how somebody played immediately after the game, that's pretty impressive. I'll have to watch the tape, but I think Jalen played a really efficient game. He made a lot of plays with his feet when things weren't particularly there. That's such an advantage that Jalen. Man, there was a 3rd down. They took away his first read. He situated his feet and put the ball to Dallas. To say I know exactly how he played yet would be hard because I want to watch the tape, but he did. I thought he played really efficient, and I thought he played really well. And he's a big reason why we won that football game tonight, the game that he played. Again, I know that it will say that we threw for 152 yards. What's going on? Why didn't we throw? But Jalen played really efficient and really good, and from what I saw, and made plays both with his legs, with his mind, and with his arm.
On a defense, the plan against CeeDee Lamb, what was it, and specifically how Quinion was deployed?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into exactly what our plan was, but CeeDee and George Pickens are both really, really good players, and Dak, man, I got a lot of respect for him. We've seen him a lot. We've seen him an awful lot, and he can get the ball to his guys and can make a lot of plays. So, you always are going into a game saying, how do we take out their best players? Whether that's scheme, whether that's matchups, whatever it may be. They got him the ball quite a bit today. I think he had 100+ yards, and probably had some more plays even out there. But that's the way first games go. I knew coming into this first game that there's going to be a little bit more missed tackles than normal. There's going to be a ball on the ground, and it just happened to be by them and not us. There's going to be drops, both by the offense and by the defense, because now you're into like those are like you block and you block destruct live in practice. But those things, when you're getting hit and tackled, those become live. And watching our first games from the last 3 years that I spent a lot of time on, there was a lot of drops. Not necessarily by the Eagles, but by our opponents, because it's different. It's different now, and it's the same for our defense, right? I'm not sure. I count. Reed's was a tough catch, right? I'm not sure I expect Byron Young to make that play. He doesn't go through that catch circuit with us, but I want him to make that play off that collision or off that pass breakup by Quinyon, and then Q's got to have that one. But those are some of the things that happen in the first game, and you're just thankful. Coming out of a first game, like, man, I'm thankful that you can correct off of a win because there's a lot to correct. Obviously, you guys asked me about the personal fouls that needs to be corrected. There's some things, being on the same page. There was a couple same page things, operation things. We had to burn a timeout. That always gets me when we have to burn a timeout, especially in the second half. So a lot to clean up.
When you have linebackers that can carry their coverage that far down the field, from an offensive perspective, how difficult does that make life? Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think my first experience with that in the NFL was with Shaq Leonard. Just his length and his speed created a lot of turnovers, and passing windows close really quick, and it's hard to get the shots. We had those guys had some nice plays downfield on some deep shots, on some chunk plays. That's it forces you to check it down more. It forces the passing lanes to be a little bit closed a little bit more when they have that speed and that length like those guys have. I can't tell you how many times in practice that happens with those guys. And then same thing with Darius Leonard, the same thing. Those windows, I remember Philip Rivers one time, like, man, that window closed. I was open, that window closed fast. So it makes you, as a quarterback, get you better when you go against those guys in practice. But it puts a lot of stress on the offense when those passing lanes close, when they're able to clear the coverage up, and not to mention, okay, they take away the deeper route and then they rally up to tackle, and they're short tacklers, right? You guys would know better than I did how many I think Quinyon had a missed tackle. I can't tell you another one that we had. I'm sure we had one or two, but those guys, did a great job there. I think that what an effort play by Zach Bond on Miles's long run. That was our message all week, was relentless effort. When okay, you're more susceptible to missed tackles or the ball being on the ground, you need your teammates back, and Zach had our team's back right there. I mean, that's a 7-point tackle. Really, at the end of the day, is what it is, because then we, a couple plays go by and we force the fumble after that. So great effort. I felt the same great effort by Jihad and Drew on the missed tackle by Q on the little check down to Turpin, who's another phenomenal player. I know you guys didn't ask me this, but I'm going to say it. But our special teams, Michael Clay just did a great job with his plan today. And Joe Panunzio and Tyler Brown, they did a great job of their plan. And our kicker, Braden and Jake did a great job of placing the ball where it needed to. And our coverage units, I was really pleased with how we defeated blocks and how we tackled when we had to tackle, because Braden put some placements on some balls that were really good. So that was really good. But like I said, a lot to clean up, some positives, some negatives. More negatives than I would like. But it's always, some weird circumstances tonight, and I'm glad we came out with the win.
All right, last one. Pick that from, I think it was 58. Is there more to it that he was a little banged up last year? He had trouble from
He's had
50 plus.
That's why he practiced. He's had great camp. He's had a great camp. I think he rebounded. How mentally tough is Jake Elliott? I mean, this is a guy that it's not all on him, but it appears to be all on him every single time he kicks. And, had some misses in the Rams game, and I think he had one in the NFC Championship. And then he does what he does in the Super Bowl, and then he's had a great offseason. And then this week, obviously we chart all his kicks, and I had a lot of confidence going into the game just watching him kick all week, and what he did all in the preseason. Because as you know, in the preseason we had a couple of those against the Jets that we kicked really long as well. And that builds your confidence. And when you're third or fourth and long in those areas, it's awesome that you can count on. He's one of the most clutch guys I've ever been around, and his mental toughness is something that should, kids and all sorts of athletes should study at all times and say, man, how does this guy handle the ups and the downs? And everyone's saying how bad he is, and then he comes back and he responds, and that's what it's about, is being able to respond and learn and get better from. And that's what I think you saw with Jake and his mental toughness. This game's such about physical toughness. It's great when you're able to, there's a lot of mental toughness in this thing as well. And so it's great. Jake doesn't get a chance to show his physical toughness, but he does a great job of showing his mental toughness and for our team.
Thanks, Nick.